Okay, Season 3, Episode 2 of Discovery. You might have expected it to be The Hope Is You, Part 2. It isn't. It's not going to be that kind of season. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and on this episode, Far From Home, it's episode 2 of the third season, we see what happened to Discovery. They come through the wormhole, but evidently in a completely different place than Burnham did. They go to a planet that has no name and has an outpost of maybe 40 people mining beryllium. Now, beryllium is interesting. It was mentioned in the original series as a crystal that you would find in a communicator. And at the same time, they mention also a translator, which was bad on the ship, and translator was used in a piece of the action to indicate that it's the basis for much of the equipment in the 23rd century. And certainly it is part of a Starfleet communicator. So we find that a communications array that's broken on Discovery during its landing is something that they have to go and replace the beryllium in. And it just so happens the planet they fall on is around a beryllium mine, along with some people that appear to be friendly to help them get that. We learn a little bit more about programmable matter. That was the stuff that seems to go to dust and then reassemble itself in whatever form that you need it to. We'll probably learn more about that later. But let's get to what happened in the episode. First of all, that is one of the best starship crashes I've ever seen. We have seen the Enterprise burn up in the Genesis planet's atmosphere. We've seen the slide out of the saucer section of the Enterprise D in Generations. Well, we saw the reboot Enterprise go down as well. It was also a saucer separation, I believe, and it then did a slide out, and there was enough of it left to do minor things but not get back in orbit. In this case, the entirety of the Discovery goes down, and they use a combination of shields and phaser fire and some other tricks in order to try to slow down their velocity and aim for the thickest ice that they can get. The heat from the ship obviously is melting the ice as they come in, and so it's almost like a water landing. With it minimized the damages to the hull, and also, except for the fact that ships like this are not intended to be inside an atmosphere of a planet, it caused some couplings to come loose and some minor structural damage that they were mostly able to repair. A pretty tight episode. I find that we catch up with the characters here. They're mostly in good shape. We found out that there are 88 crew members aboard Discovery that went through the wormhole. About 10 of them were badly injured, and that includes Stamets, who was injured during the battle. And there was a whole situation with him as to whether he would be well enough in order to fix things as time comes. There were plenty of engineers on board, so there were a lot of people working. Georgiou, we suspected, had some idea of her own, and we left Saru and Tilly to go and make first contact with the miners and to establish trade. They were able to find out from short-range sensors, tricorders, that there wasn't any dilithium on the planet, even though they had warp-capable ships. And so they figured that they could make some kind of trade, and that was their reason for going out. Of course, there were some hitches in their plan, as you might expect, and it was a pretty good way of going through. There was a lot of tension there. You weren't quite sure exactly how this was going to play out, and I think that it played out in a fairly believable manner, knowing about the characters as we do. A couple of good lines in there. Biological matter, shall we say. Some blood and guts on Georgiou's boots. Tilly points that out, and she said, I had to make sure he was dead, referring to the Section 31 commander who had been invaded by particles from Control. So anyway, priority is to clean up the chamber in which he was killed by Georgiou, and they have a slightly gross-looking ensign with a bucket and a shovel, shoveling whatever was left of the guy into a hazmat bucket. Jet Reno, while talking with Stamets on the outside of the spore chamber, says, we'll get to something as soon as Hazmat in there finishes cleaning up. And he says, my name's Gene. She says, I've already forgotten that. I thought that was a good line. There was another where Georgiou says, what you call pain, I call foreplay. And a few other nice lines in there that added a little lightness to an otherwise pretty suspenseful episode. Frankly, if they keep up the quality like they have done in the first 2 episodes, I think this is going to be the season that people are going to remember about Discovery. Years from now, they'll say, season 1 was okay and season 2 was better, but season 3 is when it really came into being, and I think that's what we have here. So I'd like to know what you think about it. Please do go to the comments and tell me what you think about this episode. And also, if you have not subscribed or rung the bell so you know when the next video comes your way, I advise you to do that because we're going to continue with our reviews of Discovery, and we'll also pick up The Mandalorian as soon as the first episode drops on Disney+. So if you're interested in any of that, please do subscribe and watch out for our next video coming soon. Till then, don't go far.